Hello and welcome back to Crypto Saving Expert, where we keep you up to date with the latest cryptocurrency news and analyze the market so you know exactly what is going on. Today, again, we have Jordan, that martini guy, who is going to run us through a little bit of the charts to see what is happening. First, let's take a look at CoinMarketCap, and we can see Bitcoin is at $16,840 and Ethereum is sitting at $1,250. But let's take a look at what Jordan thinks of the markets.
So we've got interesting charts today. Now, if you want more detailed analysis on these charts, please go to my YouTube channel. Again, Jess posted some analysis last night on her own YouTube channel, Interpret Crypto. But the one that I've just posted an analysis video on is called TMG Trade. So just type that in on YouTube if you want the full in-depth analysis of this. But the long and short of it is I think that we're coming in for a W reversal bottom. My perspective on this right now is you can see right here we have a huge gap in the liquidity in the order book. That liquidity in the order book could, in theory, cause Bitcoin's price to rise up as soon as it breaks through the $17,000 or $16,900 to $17,000 resistance level right here. We stand a very high chance, because there is very little volume and history of trading in this range right here. We stand a very high chance of literally shooting through all of this, coming up and then retesting this very clear level of resistance that we have, essentially kind of where these two lines intersect. From my experience, this is what makes the most amount of sense. And given the way that the price of Bitcoin is currently trading, this is what I'm expecting to happen. Now, if I delete all of these horrible green lines that I've just drawn and zoom in on the charts a little bit, there's another indicator that I want to explain to you right now. Just got to wait for the chart to reset. There we go. So essentially what we've got here is this indicator called a VWAP. A VWAP band essentially is every time the price of Bitcoin hits the bottom of the VWAP, it doesn't work as well. It's not as clear on the 4 hour. If we drop down to the 1 hour, you're able to see that every time we hit the bottom of the VWAP band, like here, when we drop below it, we bounce significantly to the upside. This is a trend that is very kind of commonplace. Look, you can see here, we drop to the bottom of the VWAP band and bounce to the upside. Drop to the bottom of the VWAP band here, and then bounce to the upside. And here, again, bounce to the upside when we touch the bottom of the band. It's important to point out that this is a trend that seems to be continuing, and it seems fairly clear at this point in time. It's also important to point out that for Bitcoin is kind of stuck within this range right here, meaning that Bitcoin's price can trade as low as this lower level of support while remaining bullish in terms of its sentiment, meaning that Bitcoin's price can drop as low as $16,750 while still maintaining bullish sentiment. So from my perspective right now, what I'm doing is I'm aiming to open long positions on Bitcoin between $16,800 and $16,700 in this zone right here, in the expectation that we have a bounce back to the upside as we continue penanting outwards like this. Again, you'd expect Bitcoin's price to do something like this before going boom to the upside. That's the long and short of it. I hope you enjoyed my nice squiggly lines on the screen right there. And that concludes today's Bitcoin analysis. In fact, I'm going to check in on Ethereum just before we do anything else. Ethereum, I'm more bullish on than Bitcoin, being that Ethereum only has to break through the level that it's basically currently at in terms of its price level, $1,260. If we start trading above $1,260, that's it. We have very little resistance above this level. You can see the way that the volume drops off above that level right there. At the same time, we've not yet tapped the top of the VWAP band. And if we zoom out here onto the 4-hour chart, you can see really there is not a whole lot. In fact, I'm going to zoom out a little bit more so you can get a bit more bigger perspective on things. Essentially, the target level to break through would be this range right here. And after that, we don't really have so much resistance. You can see all of this acting as support down here. This is what I'm personally expecting. I expect to surpass all of these zones. And actually, if we zoom out on the 4 hour, in fact, the 4 hour zoom should work. If we zoom out on the 4 hour, you should be able to see my overall target for the price of Ethereum. Just click on the right thing there. Zoom out again. My overall target for Ethereum in the short term, come on, load, is this next key level up here, 1,650. But really look at this. We have just such declining interest and volume above these levels right here that from my perspective, when we start getting up there, we're really going to start really running fairly fast to the upside. So it's kind of like prepared like a catapult right now is my perspective on the markets. We have a lot of bearish sentiment, bearish everything for all this period of time. But there is only so long that you can maintain that before it all gets squeezed out and you end up with a run to the upside, regardless of whether the markets are actually bullish or not. Things get squeezed, prices go up. That's my take on the markets today, Jess.
My camera battery has just died, which is strange because it's been on charge. It was fully charged about an hour ago. So my camera is going to be lost, which is very annoying, but we'll have to carry on. With this, so we're taking a look at the news now, and the Bahamas regulator denies instructing FTX to mint new tokens. So this was an accusation that was made on December the 12th and before the US House Financial Services Committee on December 13th. So they've said this isn't true. For them to have propose that idea is alarming. Do you believe that they would have done so?
Do I believe that they would have? Yeah, absolutely. I've seen examples of this on other exchanges. And Jess, by the way, if you want me to take over at some point, so you can go and fix your camera or plug it in or something, that's perfectly fine. I can probably talk about this for a while. Being that, so okay, I'll take over for now. You try and fix your issue. Basically, I have seen this with many exchanges in the past. In the past, we've seen it with. I'm not going to name names of exchanges because some of them have changed their ways. In fact, will name names. Gate.io and MXC both really have just made fake tokens and dumped them on their customers in the past. I've seen this firsthand. Being I used to help projects get listed onto exchanges, and one of the exchanges I used to help them get listed onto MXC. And then after a while, I started getting complaints about MXC and the way that when coins were listing on them, they would give them $500,000 in funding, and then that funding would then be used to essentially kind of dump the project. That's the long and short of it. So I have seen this before, and I don't doubt that FTX are 100% guilty of doing anything that most people accuse them of, because you've got to bear in mind, these guys were propping up one of the world's biggest Ponzi schemes, and that Ponzi scheme is really difficult to prop up. So let's give this article a little bit of a read, and then I'll continue talking. So basically, the claim was made by FTX's new CEO, John J. Ray, in the third in a court filing on December the 12th, before the US Financial Services Committee on December the 13th. Ray had claimed that Bahamian regulator asked SBF to mint $300 million in new FTT tokens. SBC issued a press release on January the 2nd saying that such statements made by Ray are unfounded and have the impact of promoting mistrust of public institutions in the Bahamas. It's interesting that the new CEO of FTX is accusing the old CEO of doing these things. So, I mean, these claims do come with a large amount of legitimacy. And by the way, guys, if you are just new to the channel, I've got a few things to point out to you. First of all, we've got 1,780 subscribers. Could we please get to 1,800 subscribers on today's live stream? That would be fantastic. Let's gain 20 subscribers. That would be fantastic. So if you are new to the channel, please do slap a like on it. Today's like goal for this stream is 100 likes. So let's get everything set up. Oh, Jess's camera is back on. We can see that now because it's pointing at the floor. Now she's just unplugged it because I've said that. But yeah, essentially, if you are new to the channel, please do subscribe and like today's video. Jess, get your camera set back up. Come on. Now, SBC issued a press release on January the 2nd saying that such statements made by Ray are unfounded and have the impact of promoting mistrust of public institutions in the Bahamas. The regulator also addressed other claims that FTX Chapter 11 representatives made in court filings concerning its relationship with FTX. SCB said that the representatives' recent statements challenging the calculation of FTX's digital assets transferred to the Commission's digital wallets on November the 12th, 2022 were based on incomplete information. US debtors continued continued lack of diligence when making public statements concerning the Commission is disappointment and reflects a cavalier attitude towards the truth and towards the Bahamas that have been displayed by the current officers of the Chapter 11. Basically, we know pretty much for a fact at this point that the Bahamian authorities, or some of them, are corrupt, because as a Bahamian citizen, you're not actually allowed to own cryptocurrency. And yet many Bahamian citizens, especially within their government, held cryptocurrency and they held it on FTX. Not only that, but the Bahamian accounts that were made on FTX were allowed to withdraw all of their funds after the hack had taken place, which means that we know that the Bahamas is corrupt. I mean, you know that anyway, just from like who is basing their business in the Bahamas, and why are they basing it in the Bahamas rather than in a legitimate country? There is several reasons. Sometimes it's because you can't get licenses in the correct countries. Other times it's because you're blatantly running a Ponzi scheme and you don't want people to see the books. That was what was going on at FTX. And I actually found an interesting message the other day that I forwarded over to my Telegram, essentially saying it was the time that I actually got invited to invest in FTX right at the very beginning, like in 2019 it was, this message from, and they wanted me to invest in FTX. and I declined it. And I shouldn't have declined it because I would have made so much money from that. But at the same time, I declined FTX because back then, to me, it looked like a scam. And then somehow they managed to raise all of this money, and yeah, it went pretty well from there. Now, somebody saying Jess is a ninja in the chat, because the Bahamas is a tropical paradise. Yes, don't get me wrong, I would absolutely love to go and live in the Bahamas, and in fact, I'd probably do that at some point in time. It's just there are a lot of companies that are based out of the Bahamas that are not actually real companies; they are fake companies, and they don't actually do anything. Instead, they just create vapor. By the way, guys, if you are interested in more news and analysis, please do subscribe to the Crypto Saving Expert YouTube channel, where we've got 1,780 subscribers right now, but we're trying to make that 1,800 in today's video. The other thing would
You
be,
want me to move you on to the next article before I
yes,
go?
please do that. It's very difficult talking sometimes. But by the way, also, we've only got 19 likes on today's live stream. So if you could slap a like on the live stream, like trying to get to 100 likes on today's live stream, it will be difficult. It will be a challenge, but I know that we can do it. So please do that. And I'm just going to comment on my own thing here saying join us on the stream. Hopefully more people will join because I've only got 40 people in here right now. Join the stream ASAP. There we go. All right, so I've posted it within my group, so we'll have a few more people joining the stream right now. 39 people watching, 21 likes. Very good. Now, moving on. DCG and FTX conspired to attack Luna and STF, says 3AC's Suzu. Why are we still listening to what the scammer has to say? I do not know. Now, Three Arrows Capital is a company that was investing its users' funds very irresponsibly. They were basically this investment fund that kind of set up overnight, managed to attract billions of dollars of capital in the bull market, and then manages to go bankrupt somehow. Suzu, the co-founder of bankrupt crypto hedge fund Three Arrows Capital, has taken a jab at Barry Silbert's digital currency group and Sam Bankman-Fried's FTX in a recent Twitter thread, which kicks off by accusing both companies of conspiring to attack Terra Luna and STF. Here's roughly the summary of the DCG, which is Digital Currency Group's situation. They conspired with FTX to attack Luna and STF, and made a fair bit doing so. They took substantial losses in the summer from our bankruptcy, as well as Babel and some other firms involved in GBTC. They could have calmly restructured then, Suzu tweeted. I mean, to be fair, he does raise a very good point that, I mean, we all know for a fact that the guy, Sam Bankman-Fried, was probably likely behind attacking UST and Luna, and they made a lot of money doing that. And they were doing that in order to refill their books because they did lose so much money by investing in 3 Arrows Capital. So it's interesting to see the perspective. But here we go. Mr. Zhu said that DCG, or Digital Currency Group, fabricated a left pocket, right pocket capable promissory note that magically filled the $1.1 billion hole. He compared the DCG situation to a kid losing poker, continued to play since he was fine, since his father would pay the debt. However, in the case of DCG, the father of the poker player is the player himself. They, like FTX, proceeded to misdirect for months using various methods to attackers and not have anyone ask the hard questions, which is how did Genesis fill the hole, Suzu added. They, like FTX, spent 6 months taking more deposits while insolvent and hoping the market goes up. It's very interesting because Barry Silbert used to be a driver of the market in cryptocurrency. By the way, guys, if you are just joining the stream right now, please do slap a like on it and subscribe. We've just had about 10 or 15 people join, so please make sure you are subscribed to the Crypto Saving Expert YouTube channel, because this channel goes live every single day at this time between 11 and 12 o'clock. Whenever I'm not in a meeting, we go live and then we make live streams about cryptocurrency. So please make sure you are subscribed to the TMG YouTube. Yeah, do that, but the Crypto Saving Expert one. That's the important one for right now. Also, slap a like on today's live stream. We are aiming for 100 likes on this live stream. Anyway, DCG is worth 0, according to Barry Silbert. But DCG is worth 0. No, not according to Barry Silbert. Barry Silbert is CEO of DCG. Suzu went on to claim that DCG was worth 0 and that the company is a case of criminal fraud, just like how FTX creditors have a case for fraudulent conveyance on Alameda returns of capital to Genesis. He pointed out that those who have been around the cryptoverse for a long know that Barry Silbert and Sam Bankman-Fried were very close since the beginning. Sam Bankman-Fried is on the board of Genesis. They gave him his first FTT-backed loan, which is really interesting. So one of the things that DCG was doing with FTT And all these 3-letter words. I can see a squirrel out of my window. Very nice. I like squirrels. But anyway, one of the things that DCG was doing with FTT was they were taking FTT as a deposit. And when they were taking that FTT as a deposit, they were then offering back USDC and USDT as loans for the FTT. And then what Sam Bankman-Fried would do is he would give, say, $1 billion of FTT to DCG. Then he would take a $500,000 but fully collateralized loan on $500 million, fully collateralized loan of $500 million from DCG, which was a liquid organization taking huge amounts of deposits. DCG being the company, by the way, that is behind Grayscale and all of these other things where you can buy cheap Bitcoin right now. But essentially, when it comes to I've got to get this straight in my head first. So DCG is giving free money to Alameda based on some coin that he keeps printing and giving to them, and it costs him nothing to do. So he gives them $1 billion of coin. They give him $500 million of real money. Then SBF goes out, buys FTT tokens with that $500 million, pumping the price of FTT, allowing him to take out more and more loans in the exact same way that UST was operating. So UST was initially backed 1-to-1. But by the time the interest rate is kicking in and they're paying out 20% interest and you've got more money going in, it balloons into this Ponzi scheme that is completely uncontrollable. That is exactly what happened with DCG and whatever the sod they're all called. Too many 3-letter words. Anyway, let's continue. Jess, if you could scroll down the page a little bit so the Genesis creditors will push it into bankruptcy thing is at the top of the page. No, there we go. Nearly. Come on. No, down. There we go. That's what I wanted to see. No, it was there then, and then it wasn't there. Come on, down in this page. I'll just read this article. Go on. Grayscale holds 3.28% of Bitcoin supply and 2.54% of Ethereum as bankruptcy looms for Genesis. Grayscale Investments now holds an estimated 3.28% of Bitcoin's total supply and 2.54% of Ethereum at a time when its parent company DCG has a $1.1 billion financial hole. I would like to point out that a $1.1 billion financial hole in any company of DCG's size, to be honest, I would describe it more as FUD than anything else. It's not something that is not fixable. Like a $1.1 billion is, I mean, there's coins that like, what is it called? Boink coin? Is it Boink? That nonsense meme coin. I bet that DCG is behind that because I bet that they're dumping on everybody. And that's why I don't participate in meme coins. Who makes meme coins? Rich guys that need money make meme coins because a meme is easy to promote, it's easy to get people to come on board with, and you have to provide zero utility, and you can rug pull it after 3 months. That is why people make meme coins. So why is Boink coming around right now? I suspect very heavily that the founder of Boink is actually probably DCG or Barry Silber or SBF, and they're using it to fund the big holes that are in their books. We've seen this before in crypto many times, like Tether, USDT. If you don't remember, Tether used to have they have always been worth $1 is each Tether coin, apart from sometimes when the peg slips. But essentially, back in 2016, 2017, around that kind of period of time, Tether sets itself up and it starts buying copious amounts of Bitcoin with coins that it says are backed 1-to-1 and worth $1. Then all of these exchanges integrate Tether as a base pair without really investigating whether Tether is backed or not. And Tether, out of nowhere, just start printing hundreds of millions of dollars of Tether and buying Bitcoin with that Tether. That starts pumping the price of Bitcoin, getting people to buy more Bitcoin, creating hype around Bitcoin, and then Tether starts selling that Bitcoin to get real money, and then that real money they put in the bank account and back the value of Tether. It's the most fantastic scam ever because nobody lost money in the long term because Bitcoin's price surpassed its all-time high. In the short term, everybody got really wrecked because Tether had to sell in order to back their US dollar stablecoin so the entire industry didn't collapse. Interesting way of pumping Bitcoin, but we see this time and time again. So this is what I'm expecting is happening with Boink right now. Boink, that nonsense meme coin, please don't buy it. Even if it goes up another 1,000 times, I would still say it was a good decision not to buy it because by participating in these stupid meme ecosystems, it's just nonsense. Don't do it. Anyway, the ongoing liquidity issues facing Genesis Global Trading and its parent company Digital Currency Group have led many crypto traders and enthusiasts to speculate whether their financial woes will affect another DCG-owned company, Grayscale Investments. The latter is a Wall Street firm that provides several crypto-linked investment products that allow investors to buy shares representing a fraction of a digital asset. For example, one share of Grayscale Bitcoin Trust represents 0.000 whatever Bitcoin. This allows investors to invest in cryptocurrencies without worrying too much about the risks and challenges of buying, storing, safeguarding digital assets themselves, basically allowing a non-custodial way of holding an asset. I would like to say about all Bitcoin, not your keys, not your Bitcoin. Even if you buy Grayscale Bitcoin, Trust Bitcoin, it's not necessarily your Bitcoin. Oh, I can hear myself in your microphone, Jess. There you go. But anyway, yeah, if that's my perspective right now. Anyway, continuing on. Grayscale holds 3.28% of Bitcoin's total supply and 2.54% of Ethereum's supply. This is why I believe it's a good idea to buy into Grayscale's Bitcoin Trust right now. A, you are supporting a possibly bankrupt company. It's a different way of thinking of it, but by supporting these people that perhaps possibly have unprovenly made mistakes, you give them back liquidity and therefore make it more stable. At the same time, your assets are backed one-to-one with a contract with a stock market company, meaning that in the event of a bankruptcy, as long as they've not lost more than 50% of their funds, it makes sense to buy Bitcoin on Grayscale right now. Because if you're buying Bitcoin on Grayscale right now, you're paying $8,000 to $9,000 per coin. Whereas if you're buying Bitcoin off the open market, you're paying about $17,000 per coin. If you're buying Ethereum on Grayscale right now, you're paying about $590 per coin. If you're buying Ethereum off the open market right now, you're paying $1,251 per coin. Being that this company holds a significant portion of Bitcoin supply and of Ethereum supply, it makes sense to buy some of that supply while it's cheap. Because in the event of a liquidation or the company going bankrupt, they have to distribute those assets to users. Now, that can take a long period of time, but we know for a fact Bitcoin halving is coming up in the next couple of years. We know for a fact Bitcoin's price is going to be over $100,000 within the next 2 years. So, because we know these things, does not it make sense to buy and take a probably slightly higher risk on buying the price of Bitcoin at $8,000, $9,000, but at the same time, you're getting double the Bitcoin. The Grayscale Bitcoin Trust is, for me, an opportunity right now for people that want to acquire Bitcoin at a cheaper price and are not necessarily willing to pay the full price for Bitcoin. Now, Jess, if you could scroll down on the article a little bit, that would be great. Somebody's saying in the chat, where is Jess? Jess's camera's died and she's been farting around now for, I don't know, 5 or 10 minutes. And now she's not even moving the screen. So maybe her computer has died as well. I don't know. I wish I could also... How can I share my screen if Jess is... Oh, there we go. She's coming back.
My camera's not going to work again.
Right, scroll down a little bit on this article. Data from OK-Link further shows that Grayscale also owns 8.5% of Ethereum Classic's total supply and 2.12% of Litecoin supply, 1.6% of Bitcoin Cash, 2.04% of Zcash, and 4.363% of Horizon, and other digital assets seen in the screenshot below this article, which is quite interesting. Scrolling, that's it. Genesis creators will push for bankruptcy and claim that DCG's assets, try and claim DCG's assets, which is what I'm trying to explain here. Like, as Suzu is saying, you can get the money out of this company even if the money goes bankrupt because they are a fully regulated institution. So if DCG goes bankrupt, it's not a bad thing for the crypto industry. Don't expect like a massive crash because ultimately if DCG goes bankrupt, we know that they have a lot of money and we can see that money live on the blockchain. So it's not really a big concern. The concern, I guess, is the liabilities that company has accrued. At the same time, guys, if you are new to today's channel, the Crypto Saving Expert YouTube channel, please drop a like on today's video and make sure you are subscribed. That would be absolutely fantastic. Somebody in the chat saying Jess is dead. Yes, Jess is dead. If you've seen the most recent episode of Top Gear, actually, there is another Jess in that Top Gear as well. But that Jess is a cat. Now, as earlier stated, the size of Grayscale's crypto bags has been a topic of discussion on crypto Twitter, given that its parent company DCG and sister company Genesis are expecting liquidity issues that have also affected customer redemptions at Gemini Earns program. Genesis owes Gemini customers an estimated $900 million. DCG's financial situation prompted the input of 3 Arrows Capital's Suzu that Genesis creators, including Gemini, will push the company into bankruptcy and take the remaining DCG assets in the coming days. However, in a similar commentary, Ramu Hualiwa, sometimes these names are difficult, the CME of Lumida Wealth Management, thought that DCG would likely lay off a significant portion of its workforce to cut costs and generate additional cash flow to prevent or stall a Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Now, I don't think DCG is going to go bankrupt. The main reason I don't think DCG is going to go bankrupt is because Barry Silbert, for those of you that know who Barry Silbert is, Barry Silber used to be the CEO and founder of a bankruptcy firm. So he's an expert when it comes to all of these bankruptcy things. And I just think that the guy is probably slightly better at navigating these kinds of situations. Now, however, in a similar commentary, blah, 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 another solution would be closing the discount on Grayscale's investment products, thus creating a significant gain in DCG's holdings. The only way to get out of jail free card, but which won't happen, is cope. The discount to NAV gap closes. This would create a 500 million gain in the value of DCG's holdings, enough to satisfy Gemini earn, and the Fed pivots and the Fed pivots and the price of Bitcoin somehow gets back to all-time highs. So yeah, that's not going to happen, and Grayscale can't change where the peg is, so that just can't happen. But in the eventuality where it does happen, it means that if you were to buy right now, then it means you could immediately sell for double the money. So yeah, that's cool. Now, next article that we have right here is Solana pumps by 74% as hype builds around newly launched meme coin Bonk. As I say, do not buy this utter crap. Even if it goes up 10 times from now, I will repeat the exact same thing. Don't participate in scams. This is a scam. How can you have a Shiba Inu inspired meme coin? It doesn't make sense. If I start saying positive things about Bonk, it means that Bonk have paid me $100,000. That's the only way that I'll say something positive about this thing, and I'll be very upfront about the amount of money that I was to receive. But unfortunately, I've not been reached out to by Bonk. But Bonk, if you want to pay me to say something nice about your coin, I'll do that. But I'll tell everybody that I've received 100K to say this, because nobody should say nice things about meme coins. And any big influencer saying nice things about meme coins is on payroll. That's what's happening right there. Don't believe anything you say. This is likely a scam by FTX or by Sam or by some other large institution that wants to pump the crap out of something to then suck the liquidity out of it. Moving on from this story, though, Jess, bring me the next news article, because we've got to wrap this up at 1 o'clock. Now, Bitcoin bear market will end in 2023, but it's too early for a full-scale bull market. I'd completely agree. My sentiment is that, again, we follow the same sentiment as what we've experienced in 2017. I don't need to read through this one. I kind of explained it already in the Bitcoin analysis. So next article, please, Jess. Now, what's this one? Bitcoin miner Core Scientific to unplug 37,000 Celsius network mining rigs. Core Scientific will shut down more than 37,000 Bitcoin mining rigs belonging to Celsius network, as the bankrupt lender has been unable to pay its share of the electricity costs, incurring millions in debts. This is one of the ways that Celsius was aiming to make money from its scam platform. In the end, ultimately, it all fell apart. I'm just going to have to reply to a message. There we go. But yeah, and then final article is also about Sam Bankman-Fried again right there, which is that Sam Bankman-Fried, and this is probably the reasons why you're all tuning into today's live stream, so happy days on that one. Sam Bankman-Fried plead not guilty on all charges in FTX fraud case. There we go. Sam Bankman-Fried has pleaded not guilty to criminal charges as he defrauded investors and is now bankrupt. Jesse, in fact, you'll be back now. You can take over. People will be bored and sick of me. Your mic's off.
Right, I'm in. I'm back. I'm not sure how long it's going to last, so we'll be quick. So Sam Bankman-Fried pleaded not guilty to 8 charges, but Caroline Ellison and his co-founder, what was his name? Gary Wang, both already pleaded guilty to similar, some of the exact same charges. So I'm interested to see how that works, because I just don't believe his lawyers will have suggested that this is the best option for him. I don't understand how he's gone.
It is the best option. And the reason why Sam has pleaded not guilty is because if you plead guilty, you definitely get jail time. However, the longer that he can string this out, the more freedom that he gets, because the jail time that he would get for his crimes is probably a very, very long time. So he's probably more so thinking it's going to be easier. This is what I would have in mind as his lawyer. I would be thinking, okay, I'm in big trouble here, and my client is going to get a long period of time in prison. So the longer that we can keep him out of prison, the better. So let's keep him out of prison as long as possible. Let's plead not guilty. That's an absolute no-brainer. Now, at the same time, they have to prove a lot of things, which are quite difficult to prove. So I don't necessarily know that he will be found guilty on everything, because it will be very difficult for the people to prove what he's done. It also means that basically Sam's now got 2 years where he doesn't go to prison, because this court case is going to get dragged on and dragged on and drags on. So
The
he's going to
first
spend
date's
2
not
years.
till October the 3rd or something this year, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's a really, really long period of time. He's not going to go to prison for a long period of time. And then ultimately, by the end of the trial, people will hate him less, because that's how society works. Over time, people forgive. They go, "Oh yeah, but we've kind of recovered from that now, and we're not really as bothered." So also bear that in mind. Also bear in mind that FTX will probably have come up with some kind of solution by this period of time, mitigating any kind of losses that people would incur. So the longer that you can kick the can down the road here, the better the scenario that could possibly work out. At the same time as all this happening, if you plead not guilty, then you're not saying that you didn't do it. You're saying that you have a different story to tell. It gives Sam an opportunity to tell his side of the story, and also, like, how else do you plan on getting out? Like, if he goes not guilty, yeah, and gets found guilty, he'll get 20 years in prison. If he goes guilty, he'll get 15 years in prison. But at the same time, if he goes not guilty and they manage to drag it on for 2 years, he might only get 10 years in prison, and then he'll be able to appeal that sentence after 2 years and probably just get out on good behavior, because, like, he's not really a threat to anybody, is he? So that would be my perspective on what I think is happening here. And I would estimate Sam spends 5 years in prison.
What would you expect this to have an effect on the market then? Kicking the can down the road is still just
I don't think I think it's
prolonging.
good for the market. I think that locking him up solves nothing. In society these days, people are so keen to punish rather than work to a solution. One of the things that I've found, especially in business, is you're always better off never punishing anybody, and you're always better off empathizing and sympathizing and working towards a solution. Because as soon as you go kamikaze on somebody, they'll never work with you again. They'll never do anything. Basically, as soon as you start shouting on somebody, or as soon as something goes wrong and you get annoyed, that person will never like you again. So it's the fastest way to burn a relationship. So from my perspective, having an element of forgiveness towards Sam, and not, I mean, you can dislike the guy for losing your money, but on a personal level, do you dislike him? Well, you don't know him. How can you possibly dislike him? So yeah, there's a lot of things to consider. I just always side with the more being nice approach. That tends to be how I like to do business, because I mean, typically you get better results out of everybody as well. So yeah, that's my experience of things. SBF pleads not guilty to criminal charges. SBF was charged with 8 criminal counts, including securities fraud, wire frauds, several. You've moved it now, so I can't read it.
Sorry.
I was reading.
This
Go
one,
down a
this
little
one.
bit.
I don't know
Down,
if
not
it's like
up. There you go. Yes. SBF was charged with 8 criminal counts, including securities fraud, wire fraud, several conspiracy counts involving money laundering and campaign finance violations, carrying around 115 years in prison if convicted. Having pleaded not guilty, the 30-year-old will have to prove his innocence in court. According to reports, his trial date has now been set for October the 2nd, 2023. Again, you can delay this thing, you can push it back, you can make it go on as long as you possibly want to. Bear in mind how much money Sam's got. He can keep going on this all day. So yeah, that's my thoughts on Sam. But also, please do slap a like on today's live stream. Very important that you do that. We've only managed to get 59 likes on today's live stream. A little bit lower than yesterday, but we've got 79 concurrent viewers, which is fantastic. So I think thank you to everybody for watching today's stream. The current price of Bitcoin is stagnating. If you want to know more about the price of Bitcoin, go to either my channel, which is my TMG Trades, or go to Jess's channel at Interpret Crypto, where we have both posted recent Bitcoin analysis. And you'll be able to get a full kind of breakdown on what is currently going on with the price of Bitcoin. Thank you all for watching. And any final regards, Jess, before you end the stream?
No, that's all. We'll be back tomorrow. Hopefully my camera will be fixed before then and we can recap more cryptocurrency news. Thank
Very
you for
good.
watching.
All right, thank you. Bye-bye.